Introduce you to Steve Yellen, diagnosed 2019 at the age of 55. His approach to post-diagnosis shifted from what he describes as passive follow your doctor and hope to an active data-driven self-management approach. The through line of his work is agency, patient influencing trajectory through lifestyle, research, participation, and advocacy. Please help me welcome Steve to the meeting.
Thanks, Larry. I want to thank you for the opportunity. I'm just going to share my screen real quick.
Can you speak closer to your microphone?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
It's a little bit muffled, but
usually it's pretty good. Sorry about that. I'll try to talk as loud as I can. Is that better?
yeah.
That's better.
Okay, sorry about that. I just want to thank Larry for the opportunity. This is something I've been working on for a while. He gave a little bit of background, but just a little bit about me just to start. I was an engineer by trade, and I consider myself kind of a problem solver. I still work full time. And as Larry mentioned, I was diagnosed in 2019 when I was 55 years old. I've been pretty lucky in that my progression hasn't been that bad. But my initial result, my doctors first told me when I was diagnosed, Parkinson's doesn't affect your life expectancy. And I think that kind of got me into a little bit of a sense of being passive. And I kind of just went on living my life. And then about 2 years into my journey, I got put on medication. I learned a little bit more, and something snapped in me. And I went from, I call it my moment one, when I went from being reactive to proactive. And I know some people always say, don't let Parkinson's define you. But to me, I think of it the opposite way. Like Parkinson's is what gets me up in the morning every day. As some of the people on this call said, I'm in a war to beat it. I even kind of created my own objective, which is really to live my best life, keep my Parkinson's at bay until I'm free from any of its impact. And when I meet that objective, then I can stop fighting. But that's what I've kind of done. I've really tried to take a problem-solving approach and break it down, do my research on it. And one of the things I learned, which I call in my moment two, is I learned about something called self-efficacy, which I never knew anything about, but it's something I would really look up if I were you. It's basically a person's belief that they can take control of their situation. And I learned that there's different ways you can enhance that. One is by setting small goals, hitting those goals, and then getting more motivation to move on. And I made that a real part of how I manage my Parkinson's ever since I learned that. As Larry mentioned, I'm pretty heavy into exercise. Instead of just exercising for the rest of my life, I do events every couple months. I've been pretty lucky in that the last 3 or 4 years, I've done 11 Spartan races, 6 triathlons, and I've raced up the Empire State Building steps 3 times. But each one of those is my goal. It doesn't have to be anybody else's goal. It could be running a lap around the track. There's people that do a lot more than I do. But that's what I try to do with that. I've done a lot of advocacy. In the United States here, I basically advocated for the National Plan to End Parkinson's Act with 7 different senators. And I got 3 of them to actually contribute, to commit to sponsorship. Each one of those was achieving a goal that motivated me more. And I've been pretty into wellness, just trying to live as healthy a life as I can. And what all this led to is a friend of mine convincing me to kind of document what I've learned in a book called Living Parkinson's, which just came out this week. And that's what I just wanted to talk a little bit about. So I think the book, I try to make the book a little bit different. I bought a lot of books as I was learning about Parkinson's. A lot of them are medical books that talk about, how the disease works or what medications you could take. What I tried to do is combine what I learned scientifically plus what I learned in my own experiences. So anybody who reads the book can build a plan they can take, an actionable plan. Everybody's starting at a different point. There's some people here, I think, that have had Parkinson's for 20 years, some for 20 days. I tried to write the book so everybody could take something away from it. And if it achieves that, it meets my goal. I put 35 what you can do action items in there, everything from drinking out of a glass or stainless steel cup versus plastic, to bringing a list of questions on a notepad when you meet with your doctor so you're more prepared, or even creating Google alerts online to find the topics you want. I've interviewed 11 experts, including Michael Oken, Daniel Corcos, Ray Dorsey. I have 9 stories of people living Parkinson's. Larry's one of them. And I have actually perspectives from 10 different regions. And actually Andrew from New Zealand, who's on, is interviewed in the book too, to give us the New Zealand perspective. But one of the things I realize is everybody's path is unique. Everybody's wired differently themselves. And I really tried to build this to be something everybody could take away and walk away and come up with something to help them put on a better journey. And I also try to make it a very easy read. So and again, I'm hoping that it can help as many people as possible. It's kind of built on 7 strategies because that's the way I broke down my approach. One is having that right attitude, being proactive, getting as much knowledge, learning as much as you can, building the right support structure, and that's about your doctors, your friends and family, and your Parkinson's community like PD Avengers. It's about exercise, what I've learned about exercise from some of the therapists I've worked with and some of the different organizations I've worked with. It's about wellness. Advocacy is, Larry mentioned, something I've been involved in that helps me feel like I'm helping the cause, and it just gives me more purpose. And participating in research, which is a way you can learn a lot more from a lot of smart people. One of the things I mentioned, wellness, on the lower right, what you see in this slide is I kind of approach it with what I call my 4 pillars of wellness, which is exercise, nutrition, sleep, and lowering stress or mindfulness. And I build that on a foundation of low toxicity living, trying to avoid any kind of impurities or anything in my personal products. And my personal goal with this, I just want to put this up here, is really, I'm not trying to make money off this book. I just want to get the message out to as many people as possible. I know there's people on here that are part of a lot of different groups. I heard the Northwest Parkinson's Association, a couple others. I would love to present, join any groups as possible, talk to anybody as much as I can, on podcasts, webinars, join support groups. If you have websites, email lists, or resource lists, I can provide some information for you to get out about living Parkinson's. I have a website and again, the book. I'm going to be donating a portion of any profits I make to charity. I can give volume discounts out, or if anybody has any hardships, I'll send a free e-version out. I have a website that again people can go to called livingparkinsons.com. This is my information. I'll put it in the chat. The website, my email, anybody can contact me. This is where you can get the book on Amazon. And I was kind of happy to see I launched the book this past Monday. It was #1 on hot new releases in Parkinson's, and it was #2 in bestsellers right behind Ray Dorsey and Michael Oakland.
All right.
I told them I'm chasing them down. I don't think I'm ever going to catch them, but I'm doing my best to try to chase them down because I know them too. They're in the book. But again, I really love for all your help. If there's any organizations you work with, small, large, that would look, like speakers or other people, I'd love to try to get this message out there. I speaking at some Stanford University groups, one at Northwestern, an exercise group I spoke at yesterday. There's different groups at Columbia and Yale University near me here in Connecticut. But any group, large or small, I just want to try to get this message for people to just do everything they can to take charge of their situation. And for anybody newly diagnosed, hopefully this could be something that can help you. But thanks very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to present, talk about this here.
Thank you, Steve. Anybody have any questions for Steve?